I welcome to our key speakers today and also to all participants joining in for the Digital Confex Gaming and Animation Confex happening today. So let's move ahead to our industry insight session, which is coming up now. That is how to choose the right and best animation approach. We have our speakers, Simon Barrionuevo, CEO, Pudoctopus. We have Nefeli Soteriou, owner, Total Creation Solution, Freelancer, Contractor, various. And our other speaker who was not able to join in, Daniel Sizlagi. He's a senior product designer from Full Script. So we just check it out with Daniel in the background. So over to you both.
Thank you. Okay, great. So I'm really excited to be with you and brainstorm ideas and how to choose the right animation approach. And so we're going to have an interactive discussion and between Simon and I. And at the end, we're going to take your questions. If you do have questions as we have this short conversation, please type it in the chat. So Simon, let's start with you. Please introduce yourself and tell us about your business.
There is. Okay, so I started as an animator in 2005. Then 2012, I jumped into executive producer position, created my studio. And from that point, we started to learn how to go international with the company. At the beginning, we have no idea how to do this, how to achieve it. And we start traveling and going to national animation markets and starting to understand how we go to a player of the industry. And now our company have branch offices in Canada, Canary Islands, and Chile, and we are about to open very soon in Brazil. So we are turning a player, and we've been learning that things how to industry works. So far, we are providing animation services, and at the same time, we are pitching and selling original content to the American kids. So we have 2 contracts with Cartoon Network, HBO, Warner for Latin American original IPs, and we are also our service contract with them, and we are at the same time.
I lost you at the point where you were saying you started in 2005 and then you evolved and you worked with the Cartoon Network, and then you have some collaborations with Canadian networks. Tell us about your collaborations with Canada.
Yeah, actually, we have a branch office there. We have a company in Canada, Canary Island, and soon a new office in Brazil. And that allowed us to, it's like, at least on paper or how the company looks, when we start looking as an international company, they start treating us like a bigger company. So for us, being able to open a branch office in Canada, that allowed us to have access to bigger markets.
That's really exciting. I'm going to share a little bit about myself. And Simon, would you put your your website on the chat so people can learn more about you? And I'm going to do the same. And then we can go ahead and talk about how to choose the right and best animation approach. So folks, I'm just going to be brief and I'm going to give you my website so we can have a discussion and a Q&A. I started my career doing digital animation, visual animation, digital design, actually, for touchscreen video games in 1999. And the way things happened then, it was a small studio. My boss was a C++ programmer, and I was creating animation frame by frame, and he was programming it. And then from then on, I moved to other things. I worked for live news as a TV editor. I went to the United States and completed my master's in film media arts. I make films. I'm an independent filmmaker. I produced one every few years. And I'm also a certified coach with psychology. I help clients go from point A to point B in their creative career. I help the filmmaker, the animator, the game designer. And then the other arm of my business is freelance. Freelance, I'm a media producer. I do motion graphics, and that's what I do. So, Simon, the second question, I'm going to keep it short, is let's discuss, in your view, how to choose the right and best animation approach nowadays. What's your experience?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing you need to know is you have to know where you are as a company and where your IP is in terms of development. If I understand well, most of the audience will come from the video games side of the industry, right? So if you have an original IP or video game with a publisher or an indie publisher, and you want to go uh, or try to do the TV show of your IP, you need to at least try to understand who will be the one or who will be your right broadcast, the perfect broadcaster for the IP. You know, it's like if it is a TV show for kids, if you want to create a TV show for adults, if you want to create a TV show for I don't know. Uh, Upper preschool is way different, uh, the approach that you have to have in animation, uh, because it could be 2D or 3D or live action, that depends of your IP. So the first thing you need to understand is uh, what you want to do with your TV show, who's the best partner in terms of broadcaster or streamer, uh, streaming platform, and then you have to find a way to reach for these guys, and where are they, and what are they looking for. uh, I don't know, for example, uh, HBO right now is producing a lot of different content. You can have children's, young audience, and at the same time uh, adult content, but Disney is not the same. So if you have a TV show for, or if you want to create a TV show and your video game or your IP is for an adult, Disney is not the right place to knock the door. So I think the most important thing is knowing who will be the one will who's the person on the other side who will be listening your pitch, and then prepare a pitch deck. uh, how to say, it's like you need to have a solid pitch deck in order to be able to at least start a conversation, uh, and then from that point, if they are interested, they will ask you for more material, and then you can start producing material together. For example, right now, the last IP that we sold to Cartoon Network uh, is a regional IP, and Cartoon Network at that time was looking for regional content. So I some Argentinian producer reached me and asked me, uh, and how could I help you to in order to sell that IP? So when I looked the IP, I realized that that specific IP matched with what Cartoon Network was looking for, but the pitch deck was not quite there. So I took the pitch deck, we work on that, and then when I considered the pitch deck was okay, we pitched it to Cartoon Network, and they love it. And in less than a year, we closed the contract. So that's what I mean. You need to know who's the person, and if you don't know anyone, you need to go to international markets and try to find which ones are these persons who are looking for content, and from that point it will be easier to sell anything.
That's a wonderful insight, a wonderful tip. I'm gonna talk about the animator who is low budget and didn't go to the. I'm gonna give an example of an animator who didn't have a budget and didn't go to the market. This is great, Simon. So I'm also a film judge, and I just admire animators that are disciplined, because creating animation not only requires a creative person who works hard and can take a concept through reality with style. It requires also discipline and really pushing things forward. So there was this wonderful 2D animation that came to the film festival I'm helping with, who is a singer-songwriter, doesn't know anything about animation, and he really wanted to produce his rock opera. And he took his work to a studio, and they said, that's in New York City, and they said, this is going to cost you a lot of money. And so he decided to do it himself. And I'm going to put the article I wrote about him and his work on the link, so you can all go and read it and see what power is there. When there is a will, there is a way. To make the story short, he didn't know anything about animation, but he's a singer-songwriter, and he knew his story. So he developed his story, he completed his songs, and then he started animating himself. And it took him 13 years from start to finish. And his rock opera, which is a feature-length animated film, was selected at the festival, and his path started. His path of distribution and collaboration with others. So that's another way. Does it make sense?
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
gonna put that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to put the article, I'm going to share the article there. So, what I'm trying to say here is that you're not inhibited. Of course, games need creativity and money. So, that's a question for you, Simon. Games need creativity and money. How do you solve the issue about money?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It's a long way, It's when we start producing original IPs, was very difficult because there's not much money here in Latin America, so we have to learn where the money is. And as I say, it's like at the beginning, of course, there's always a way to show what you are doing, and maybe someone will find it and it will like it, and maybe uh, I don't know. There's a lot of stories of YouTube content who go international and bigger, and now those are a huge success. And even though that there's a lot of Kickstarter campaigns that right now are huge IPs. Uh, Actually, I don't know if you ever saw this Amazon Prime show who started as a Kickstarter campaign from these actors in the US. It's like a Critical Role. They
Mm.
create uh, uh, this campaign or role campaign online, and they create this Kickstarter, and they raise like, I don't know, it's like $1 million or $2 million. It was huge, and Amazon saw this, and they finance. They put the rest of the money, and between Amazon, Titmouse, and Critical Role, they developed the show. The show was a success, and now they are launching the second season. So there's a lot of ways to do this. There's no only one way to do it. Depends. There's a lot of different scenarios, but right now for us, what is working for us is we are trying to save as much money as we can from our own animation services, and with that money we create pitch bibles, arguments, stories, and we are creating like a net of different people. For example, right now we have 3 different shows who Canadian writers are writing right now. And what we did was they like the show that much that now they are partners of the show. So they have a 10% of each IP that they are writing. So that helped us to reduce our cost. And with that in mind, and with all the artistic, with all the art that we create as a company, we create Pitch Bible, and then all the material that we need in order to pitch it to the different broadcasters and platforms.
Totally.
So it's like we spent not that much money creating the IP, the Pitch Bible, the trailer, the animatic, if we can produce a trailer, or as much as art that we might need in order to show what the show is about. And at the same time, we create this alliance with Canadian writers. So because for us at the beginning was, okay, so I like this show, send me more material. But they don't like when you write with, how to say it, not international writers. It's like, if I work with a Chilean writer, probably it will be not good enough. So we find a way to start working with international talent and at the same time reduce our cost. So
I'm gonna point out that in the today's world, location and size is not so relevant today for game work. I don't think it's relevant anymore, which is excellent. I'm sorry, Simon, I didn't mean to interrupt you. We're going for Q&A. Everybody write your questions if you have any questions for us. Simon, did you have a thought you wanted to finish?
No, I'm okay. I just wanted to say that it's like, and the other thing that right now we are doing is like, we got a rep in LA, so we are putting like all the pieces together, because sometimes when you're not in LA and if you're selling to LA, the big executive don't want to waste their time because they don't have many. So if you're not in LA, sometimes it's difficult for them to work with you, even though they can work with you using, it's like internet, But it happened to us. One time we were speaking with a Paramount executive, and everything was good. And finally, she asked us if we were in LA. I said no. So her face changed completely. But then I say, but my rep is in LA. Oh, okay. So we can keep talking. It's like, it's important for them have someone who call if they need something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand. One thing I want to share, it all depends on the collaboration you're finding, and sometimes it's okay to do something with a smaller team and don't seek a lay right away. The important thing, in my view, is to do it anyway. I'm thinking now as an indie game team, what to choose the right and best animation approach. Of course, you need great artists, but you also need to consider the game engine. I think that's important. And also, you need to consider the platform and the distribution model as you're going about deciding. That's also very important, the game engine and the platform and the distribution model. What do you think about that, Simon?
So, sorry, can you repeat the last part?
Choosing, in part of choosing the right and best animation approaches, you go about deciding. If you're a small indie producer of a game, doesn't it matter to choose the to think it's a centerpiece in the decision making process, the game engine and also the platform and the distribution model?
Yeah, I think. Well, right now, I think the game platform are with Unreal Engine. There's a lot of content that right now, uh, a lot of different big and not that big companies are using. It's like there's a lot of real time TV shows in production right now, and so
Mhm.
I think for a video game company who already is using these real time technologies, thinking in produce a TV show is even way more easy because they already have all the assets. So,
Mm.
and I think maybe 2 years ago, if you try to sell that idea to a big studio or a big broadcaster, th- they they wouldn't uh, see that with good eyes. But right now that a lot of companies are doing it and successfully, and right now is on air a lot of shows who were produced using real-time technologies and video game engines. I think that is not an issue anymore. So from that side, I think being able to have those uh, um, abilities or assets as
Mm.
a video game company is good. And sorry, I forgot the last question.
Oh, that's okay. I think our time is up. And if folks don't have questions, we can just end it. Don't be shy if you want to ask something.
All right, thanks, Nefeli and Simon. So, participants, do we have any questions in the meanwhile? Okay, I would like to ask Nefeli. So, how do
Mhm.
you like to conclude the session? That how we can, choose the right and best animation approach, and what do you would like to suggest to the upcoming animation professionals who are coming up in the industry?
So the veterans in the industry say, because I read a lot, and I mean I started independently, so my experience going back then in 1999, it was on my boss's basement that we started this. So, and he sold the game well. So I would say don't be afraid if there are constraints in money, do it anyway. When there is a will, there is a way. Find some nice collaborators. It cannot be done alone. I mean, otherwise, it's going to take you 13 years, as the example I presented. It's real. But I mean, it's okay if it takes you years. It's okay too. What I'm trying to say is never be discouraged. You have a vision, see your vision through, and you develop with each project, game by game, animation by animation. You grow as a producer, as a creator, and continue attending conferences to meet like minded people because you need this. nice collaboration. You need people that understand you. That's all.
And for me, I think when you're creating a TV show, maybe you will have like a lot of no's for an answer, or an original IP at a TV show or a video game. And sometimes it's just not the perfect timing for what you are creating. It's like there's a lot of shows who are really successful. Phineas and Ferb, the guy was pitching the show for like 7 years, and then it turns in a huge success. And for us, it's funny because we pitched a 2014 Cartoon Network, and they say we love the idea, but the format was short. Was a TV show of 1 minute episodes, and right now we are producing 1 minute episodes with Cartoon Network.
All right, so we have one question. Thanks, Simon. So we have one question from the audience, that is from John. At Nefeli, I have seen you mention making animation frame by frame, which sounds like sprite animation, which was very relevant in the early phases of the gaming industry and up at least in 2000. Now that 3D graphics become more relevant, do you think 2D animation will fizzle out, or will it still have a place in the industry? I hope you got my question.
That's a great question. I think not. I think not, John. Because I'll explain why. So we are creators. We have many tools at our disposal. The first animations came out 100 years back, with the emergence of photography. And since then, we never start producing and inventing. So I'm a film judge, and I've seen 3D films, 2D films, and they're equally wonderful. So as long as creators exist and they have the passion to produce their work with that specific tool, no, it's not going away. That's my view.
Okay, so what do you think, Simon?
Yeah, I feel the same. It's like in animation, it happens the same. It's like everything started with 2D, then everything was CG, and now there's the 2D is back in a great way. It's like there's a lot of 2D TV shows, frame by frame animation, and I think maybe everything everything is a cycle. It's like I think always will be enough place for the 2D animation, frame by frame animation.
So John said, thank you for the awesome perspectives. Thank you so much, Nefeli and Simon, for the wonderful topic discussion today. And it is actually an industry insight session. So thank you so much for justifying the topic. And thanks to all the participants for joining in. Simon,
Thank you, everybody.